Everyone, my name is Joyce Laurie. A lot of people call me Dare to Glow Coach because I'm all about seeing you glow. I'm all about seeing you live a purposeful life, a powerful life, and living a meaningful life. I'm an empowerment coach, confidence coach, mindset coach, educator, entrepreneur. Yeah, I would say the list is endless. But I would like to say you can if you think you can. And today I have our host, beautiful Coach Jay, who is going to do an introduction of herself. Coach Jay, to you.
Thank you so much. It becomes a bit when I do introduction after you have a lot of titles and mine are just short and simple. But well, that's it. Hi everybody. As mentioned, my name is Jane, Coach Jane Njogu. I am a growth and mindset coach. My main goal is to remind us all to embrace our uniqueness, to become more self-aware through a mindset shift. So that's why we always do all these weekly lives on mindset shift because we know the work, we know the power of a mindset shift. We're not just talking about something we've read somewhere, but it's something that we've lived in. So we know that mindset shift is very important in our everyday lives. So, other than that, I am a student of life. I strive to start to learn something new every day. If I go to bed and I've learned something new, I'm proud of myself. So, basically, that's my introduction.
All right. Thank you, Coach Jay. Coach Jay, would you like to take the lead on the first point of what does the term whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Would you take the lead, please, for the first point?
Yes, of course. So, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. This is a quote by Henry Ford. I'm sure most people they have heard about it or they have read about it somewhere. And when you think about that statement, it's a bit confusing if you're like, okay, whether you think you can and whether you think you can't, you're both right. How? That's a question somebody can ask. And so, what I can say is when you think you're right, you give yourself the confidence, to do something. You give yourself that boost because I know I can do this. So I find ways in which I can accomplish that task. But when I tell myself I can't, I have built the mindset already. So I will, as human beings, we will look for all possible reasons for that thing not to become successful. So that we can say, see, I told you I can't do that. So it's already a mindset. It's something that you imprint in your head. And the moment you keep telling yourself you can, you keep finding ways you can do it. The moment you keep telling yourself you can't, you keep finding reasons and excuses for that thing just to fall down and crumble. Over to you.
All right. Thank you so much. That is an amazing explanation. I don't think I'll add on that. So, just like Coach Jay said, what does the term whether you think you can or think you can't? The words are very clear. You think you can, then you can. You think you can't, then you are still right that you can't. So, when you tell yourself that you're anxious, you are going to start acting like you're anxious.
Mhm.
Imagine you're going on a stage and you're going to present, you're going to be a speaker, and you start telling everyone, I'm anxious, the next thing you're on stage, you're panicking, you have every slide, you have everything ready, but you don't feel like you have everything ready. Why? The only reason because that is happening is because you told yourself, I'm anxious. So everything around you starts becoming anxious.
Mhm.
The topics, like Coach Jay said, every week we talk about mindset, and this is one topic about mindset that I love about Henry Ford. You think you can? Yes, you can. She is on stage, she told herself, I'm anxious, I'm scared, I'm not confident. There's nothing she's going to do up there that is going to look at in people's eyes like she's confident, or
Mhm.
she's all put together. Everyone is going to look at her like, oh my God, what is this one doing on stage? Did she even practice? So
Mhm.
sometimes, even when you're anxious, convince your mind, convince yourself, you know what? I got this. I got this, you know? There's one thing I always tell my brother when we go to places where it seems like are we supposed to be here? I always tell him, do you think you're supposed to be here or not? Because me, I'm supposed to be here, you know? And he laughs about it. But over time, he has started understanding that when you go to a place, however big the place looks, and you don't feel like you fit in, if you fit in, you put yourself into that place, you are going to definitely find a way of fitting in, or people are going to start looking at you like you're part of them. But when you look at yourself, you discriminate yourself from everything. You're like, you know what? I'm not part of this. I'm not part of this. That is what is going to become of you.
Mm-hmm.
So this topic for me, like I was telling Coach Jay, it is like self-explanatory. The only thing is we have to make it more clear to people that when you think you can, you can. When you think you can't, you are still right in your own space. The other
Mm-hmm.
thing I'm going to say before giving it to Coach Jay is choose your words careful. Every word that comes out of you, you should be careful about it. Another thing I'm going to explain is if you tell yourself you suck, you are likely that you feel that you suck.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, I suck at this, you're definitely going to suck at it. Even when everyone is looking at you like you're doing it amazingly, you're going to feel that way, and everyone is going to start seeing it that way. So you lose confidence in who you are. So choose your words wisely. That is almost like my first point. Choose your words wisely, because these words get into your mind, and whatever is in your mind is what is going to be perceived through your body, because these things work together: the mind, the body, and the gut feeling, of course, you know. So everything you tell your mind, the mind is just going to bring out. I suck. Everything you look at, I suck, I suck, I suck, I can't do this, I suck at it. By the way, you know what? Every time I try to type, I suck at typing. I think I'm better at just looking at people typing. You're going to suck at it.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, that is going to be almost my first point: is choose your words wisely. All right,
It's
back to you, Coach Jay.
it's amazing how you've packed it all, and I would say, apart from choosing your words wisely, look at the affirmations you make to yourself. And the reason why I say that, there's something that we don't usually realize when you're making our affirmations. You make an affirmation and you use certain words that they make it a future thing. It's not a present tense. So when I say, I will become a good coach, this is not a present thing. And you know how our brains work, how our minds they tend to work. When I say, Joycelyn, I can or I am going to do this now, it becomes a priority in my to-do list. But when I say I will, it gets pushed to the corner all the time. And most of the time we have to-do list that something from last week, it's still there, it's still pending, it's still waiting for you. So when you're making the affirmations, or you're making your morning affirmations, or anytime you make your affirmations, check the words that you're using. Make sure it's a present tense, because yes, you might have all the intentions, you want this thing to happen, but because of the words you're using, your mind is programming it. As Coach Jay has said, it's in the mind, it's a mindset. So your mind tends to program it, it tends to capture that. So Coach Jay, you've said, I will. So this is not a priority at this time. And then you start saying, why is my goal not coming? Why is this thing not achieving? And then you start, and by the time you realize what you've done, you start convincing yourself it is impossible. So words like I can't, you should not use those words. I should not use words like if only. Already you've built that mental block in your mind. You should not use words like I must. When you say must, it's like you're giving yourself a condition. You're not being flexible, You're not being giving yourself the room to learn, or no matter what happens, you're ready for that. But when you say I must, so if it doesn't go as you plan, if it doesn't take the structure that you want, then chances of you relapsing, they're so high. So that was just to amplify Coach Jay's point. So when I was looking at this topic, when I was looking at this quote, I would say there are some key things that came in mind. And number one, it basically sums it up: attitude. What attitude do you bring to a situation? How do you perceive a situation? And if you break down attitude, I saw in when I was doing my research, somebody broke it down so well, and he said Attitude can become an acronym for a thought that ignites and divided devotion every time. A thought
Mhm.
that ignites true and divided devotion every time. So, what does that mean? When you bring in the right set of attitude, you give it the best attention that you have. When you bring in a negative attitude, what happens? You still give it the best attention, but in a negative way. So the outcome is I might want, let's say, lose weight, but because I keep telling myself the attitude I brought in when I want to lose weight is not the right set of attitude. So I'll keep having this as my New Year resolution. Each and every year, it keeps popping up until I tell myself it is impossible to do this. I cannot. I've tried and I can't. And I'll give you another example. Back in 2019, I was on a journey of weight loss. And I remember my fiance telling me, you need to go to the gym and there's some particular exercises you need to do. And the first thing I said was, what? I can't. I already said I can't. And then he asked me, what makes you think you can't? I was like, because I know it's hard. I can't do that. I'm a woman. I cannot do that. And then he asked me, what gave you the impression it's hard? So he kept asking me this question until I was like, fine, you know what? I will go, I will do it, and I'll prove to you that I cannot do this. So even when I went to that gym, what did I do? I failed miserably because I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to show him it's impossible. I had already planted it in my head. I had already made it like, I cannot do this. So whenever you go with that attitude, you will still get the outcome that you're looking for. Over to you, Jay.
Oh my God. So the whole time you're talking, I'm like, she's nailing, she's hitting that nail on the head. So one thing about this quote, by the way, it emphasizes on how much attitude determines success or failure. Like
Mm-hmm.
you've definitely just nailed you've hit it on the head, definitely, for me. So people achieve what they believe they can achieve. If you tell yourself I can achieve this, you're going to do everything it takes to achieve it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're going like your story. If you had told yourself, you know what, okay baby, you know what, I'll try. I'll go to the gym and give it a try. I'll do my best. I will do my best. That
Mm-hmm.
is what you told yourself, and that is what you're going to put in. But you going with the mindset of I can't, I want to prove. Every time you want to prove a point to someone, it will
Yes.
never work out. It only works out to impress the person, but it never works out for you as a person. So
Mm-hmm.
if you think you can accomplish something, you probably can. And if you think you can't accomplish something, you definitely can.
Mm-hmm.
So the two words that you already talked about, Coach Joe, was if you say I can't, you definitely can't.
Mm-hmm.
So if only and I must will stop you from action. That is one thing like you can replace with I can't. Okay, I'll take action. But you say it also with the energy, not okay, I'll take action. It's like you're doing someone a favor. You taking
Uh-huh.
an action to what you want. Okay, I'll take an action. I'll take an action. It even gives your mind excitement. It's not like you you want to do it, but you're going to do it because you want to put action to something. So
Mm-hmm.
how you say something also sometimes determines the energy of it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I will. Okay, I can. The
Yeah.
energy of yes, the energy determines how much you want it. The energy determines how much effort you're going to put in to get it. So
Mm-hmm.
energy is also an important thing when you're emphasizing on how much you want to succeed and how much you're going to fail. it
We can
it
also
matters,
we can
yes. If you
can
say
also
I am going to succeed at being a coach, and then
oh.
you also say, I'm going to succeed at being a coach. Those are two different people saying the same thing, right?
Yes, exactly. I wanted to say you can also call it the effort that you put in something because the amount of effort you put, it either motivates you or demotivates you. So you
That is
have to
very
look at the energy or the effort that you put in there.
Yeah. And if people can also put in mind that failure is just a stepping stone, it could make it easier for you that even when you try something with that energy, I'm going to succeed at being a coach, and you keep finding hiccups, you keep finding these things that hinder you or make you feel like being a coach is hard or it's not what you expected. Just know that is a stepping stone for you to become better. But every
Mm-hmm.
time you look at it, you're like, actually, this being a coach, I didn't know that I'm going to be suffering like this, or I'm not even getting money. The moment you start having that mindset, you're going to put it in that drawer. You're going to say, you know what? This coaching business can go into the cupboard. I'll find it. So for me, I feel every time you put attitude, your energy, the effort, and how you go out there to put action to what you want determines whether you fail or you succeed. But not forgetting, life can be against you sometimes, failure can happen. Failure is part of life, just like death. So look at failure as a stepping stone. Look at failure as a new beginning. For me, I look at failure in that way. And trust me, you will. You will, you can, and you'll make it if you have that mindset. Otherwise, back to you, Coach Jay.
Yeah, it's lovely how you've said that because we always say and we always, personally, I always try and remind myself and those who are around me and tell them that there's no failure. It's just a learning lesson. And if I didn't get things the way I wanted, then I have learned something from that. Because if you sit down and take some steps back and look how that thing happened, when you start the process again, what happens? You don't use the same steps that you use. So the other thing I wanted to say is I wanted to give an example of again how attitude can affect your outcome. You go for a job interview, and again I'll use an example. Back in 2017, I went for this job interview with Sharaf DG in UAE, and I was qualified for the job. I knew I was qualified for the job, but I went in and I was expecting to fail. I was expecting not to get that job offer because of what I've been told, what I've had out there. And also, I did not have that belief in myself. I did not have the self belief. And what happened? What was the outcome? I didn't get the job.
Failure.
I went to another interview, the job I got in 2017, and I had no clue of what they were selling, but I went in head high. I told myself I'll go in head high and I would ace that interview. I went in, I got interviewed by the owner of the company at that time, not even the HR, and I ended up getting the job. Why? Because I was confident about what I was talking about. Because when you look when you have a certain type of attitude, your body language sells you. The person who is looking at you, as we always say in when you're doing our coaching at Coach J, you look at the body language of somebody, how they're looking at you, how if I'm speaking looking up or I'm doing something with my nails. There are those small things that you can always pick up. You know, those small things that we are not realizing, but because I've already set that mental block in my head, there are those small things I'm doing that are annoying that interview, and that interview is like, you know what, yeah, she's qualified, but I don't like what she's up to. I don't like that one. But when you go, you're all head up, you're in the right place in your mind, you're not all over the place. What happens? Even if you don't know what they're doing, you'll get that job. So it's all about believing in yourself and having the right set of attitudes. What else do I want to say? I wanted to say also that when you find yourself, like what Jaya said, when you see, like, let's say, okay, you have the right set of attitude, you've gone in, but you didn't get the outcome that you wanted. Don't stop there. Sit down and ask yourself, don't ask. Last time we covered the topic of don't ask, why me? Yeah, you remember that topic we did in one of the lives. Instead of asking
Mm,
that question, because why me will make you feel like you're blaming or something, or you want to point fingers, what do? Sit down and ask yourself, what can I do about this? What can I do about this? And then after that, wash your hands. It's done. It's the past. We don't need to keep on carrying the past with us. We keep on moving forward and forward because each day is a blank day. We can write new chapters of our stories. Over to you.
mm, very true. When I was reading about this topic, I found that word that says "why me," which you can replace. And sometimes we actually don't know this, but if someone who is watching this right now or later, if you
Mm-hmm.
can just write this, that when you replace "why me" Not with why not me, but replace why me with what can I do about this? And then
Yeah.
in brackets, put direction. It gives you direction. When you say, what can I do about this? It helps you to find direction. It helps you to find sense of strength for you to do what you didn't do or what made you fail better. You get.
Very.
So
Yeah.
I actually liked your point. Like I'd searched about it, but when you look at something and you're like, this can help me, but how about it can help someone else? So if you're out there, you're watching right now, like Coach just said, what can I do about this? Write it, and trust me, every time you're in a situation where you're like, why me? Why did I fail this interview? I was prepared. Because Coach J, if I give an example of one of the interviews I also had actually in 2020, COVID time.
Mm.
I had an interview the same day I'd lost my sister. Like, I just got a news from back home from Uganda. You know what? Your sister's passed on. She had passed on the day before, but in the night. So in the morning, they're calling me and telling me. But that afternoon, I had an interview. Coach J, I didn't believe. I'm like, you guys are joking. I cut them off. They call me back. They're like, yes, she has passed on. You know what happened? I started crying. I started cleaning the house. For me, I think when I mourn and I've realized I clean,
Mm.
I don't know, I take clothes out of the closet, I arrange, you know,
It
it's
becomes easy.
amazing like
Yeah.
how people can mourn in different ways.
Yeah.
So when all this was happening and I'm crying, I forgot I had an interview at 4 that same day, 20th of July, yes.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens? I'm doing all this and my eyes become so big. Remember, I'm going for an interview.
Mm-hmm.
But I'd already prepared for this interview before that incident happened. Like I'd already searched about this school. I'd already searched, like I'd gone deep down because I think people should actually take a leaf when you want something. Take the
Mm.
initiative to put the effort and energy in getting to know who those people are that you're going to work with, who those
Mm.
people are that you're going to meet. Even if it's just a coffee. So
Yeah.
I'd searched. I'd already done my digging. So by the time the interview came, I was already confident. The only thing is what I was going through at that point of time. And
Mm.
there I was telling my sister, should I even do this interview? I want to come back home. My sister told me, you know what? Go for the interview. We'll talk about this. But my mind wasn't in place. It wasn't
In
in
the
the
same.
interview when I went for the interview. Imagine I went for the interview in glasses, sunglasses, black round glasses. It was online because that time we're not going into offices to meet
COVID
people.
time.
And I did this interview and I did the best I could. I gave my all. I wasn't even asked a lot of things that I thought I'd be asked that I'd searched about. It was basically about me. They were asking about my personal life. It was amazing. So the interview ends and I have no mind. I don't put mind to I've gotten it or I've not gotten it. The interview ends. She tells me, how much is your expectation? I'm like, how much are you offering? I don't know the job description. And that's what I keep telling people who are looking for jobs. Never tell the employer how much you want. Sometimes you sell yourself short. Just tell them, what is your job description for me? I don't know
Mm.
what you're going to give me. I don't know what roles I'm going to do for me to tell you that I'm going to be earning this. So the employer told me how much they were offering. I was like, okay. I was like, is there room for negotiation? They were like, no. I'm like, okay. All right. Interview ended.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't bother to have a mindset of I have failed. Did I pass? I didn't even have time to have that mindset. When the
Mm-hmm.
interview ended, I'm like, okay, back to morning.
Back to what is happening. Back to the present moment.
Yeah. Back to morning, back to finding out what is going on at home, and everything and the burial plans. And then after like was it a day? It was I think a day when they were even burying my sister, I think 21st, and then I'm getting a call. You got in the job, check your email, if the offer is okay, and then there I was. So what am I trying to say in this situation is sometimes even when you don't have the mindset, of knowing what exactly is happening in that situation. You have a lot going on because life can bring for you things that are unexpected during a time of success, during a time of a lot of beautiful things happening. Do not give a chance to your mind to think that you have not succeeded at something because of the situation you're going through. You know, at that point, I would have thought, oh, I was in the glasses. Maybe these guys didn't give me the job. When I got the job, I was actually like, okay, I was actually with swollen eyes putting on sunglasses, and this guy still chose me. Wow, you know.
Mhm.
And then when I started working with these people, they were like, we chose you, you know, and they keep telling that to everyone they hire. We chose you. That means you are amazing.
Mhm.
So by the time you are chosen for something, just like we were chosen for the summit that just ended, you know,
Yeah.
redefining your success, there were lots of candidates, but we were chosen. Why did they choose us? We are special. We add value. We added value actually. So
Mhm.
for me, at the end of the day, when I'm caught in between something that would make me feel like I'm giving up or I'm having a mindset of doubt, I keep telling myself, please, I don't have time for this. My brain has no time for that. You know? So
Mhm.
that I avoid the negativity because negativity is what makes good things not even to happen. Because you've already, it's like you've proclaimed, it's like you manifested. You're like, I'm not going to get the interview. Definitely, even if the email was going to come in saying you've gotten it, you may not get it. So your mindset, really, your mindset is your power. Back to you, Coach Jay.
Yeah, it's a lovely story. It's true because basically what Henry Ford was trying to put forward was that whatever outcomes we get, it starts with how we think, the thinking patterns in our head. Because I might have a goal to have a certain amount of money in my bank account, but I don't trust that I'll have that money in my bank account. Yes, I want it, but I'm like, I don't think so. I don't, you have that element of doubt. There's always that element of doubt that you're portraying. So it will keep postponing itself. You'll keep wishing and wishing and wishing and wishing until you come and tell yourself it is impossible. There are the select few who are able to get that. But for me, nah, I cannot do that. So the other thing I wanted to say that if you want to develop a mindset of doing things, or if you think you can, let's forget about you can't. If you think you can, make sure you're persistent in what you're doing. Always the curve is going to be like this. What is this called? It's not going to be a straight line. It's going to have ups, downs, ups and
Down.
downs, ups and downs. You will not get that straight line. And whenever you're in the down part, don't give up. Keep going. Keep climbing and going down, because there's always something when you leave the journey. There's always something when you take the steps of a stairs. You don't just start from ground floor and you shoot up. You go gradually with the stages, one step at a time, and you develop that mindset that, okay, level one was difficult, but I made it, I got it to the end. I don't know if you play Candy Crush. I'm a huge fan of Candy Crush. I think I'm in level 1000 something. But Candy Crush is another thing that whenever I feel like something feels like it's impossible, I run to Candy Crush, I play one level. It's a difficult level, but I'm able to beat that level, and then that tells me whatever you're facing there, it's not hard, you can do this. So I go back and then I look for a clever way to do it. So it's just like playing Candy Crush. Make sure you look at, okay, this is a level, it's a game. What if there was a prize put on that table? What if there was a prize you're told, "Coach, just like when you accomplish this task, there's a prize for you." You will do everything in your power to make sure you get that prize. So whenever you're doing something and you feel like, imagine if you were told there was something that you really want and it's on the table for you. Trust me, you'll go beyond and get that thing. You'll go beyond and make sure that you get that prize. And then the other thing is motivation. Find ways to motivate yourself, because sometimes we want great things, but we don't get the motivation that we want, or we don't look for things that motivate us. We become so strict on ourselves that we don't get the fun aspect of it. So the motivation, instead of being going up, the curve starts going nose diving, because you started here. So you started up here, you start going down, gradually you reach the bottom, and then you say, that was mission impossible, I cannot do that. So for me, I will say, if you think you can or you can't, you're right. Forget about the can't part. Think about the can part. Think about ways you can accomplish things. Don't go for the big things. Start with the small, gradual steps, one day at a time. Take the baby steps. A baby is not born and then they're hola, they're big babies. No. You have to take the steps one day at a time, one day at a time. And by the time you notice it, you're a full adult like we are right now. Over to you, Coach Jay.
You know, you just gave something that reminded me of how I deal with kids, you know, like it's one of the management skills that I use, classroom management skills that I use for the students. When I want them to do something, I make them compete against themselves, even when it's just one small, tiny Play Doh, you know, a small tin of Play Doh, just like this.
Mm-hmm.
I just tell them, you know what? There are 4 groups in the classroom. The classroom is how many? 30 students divided into 3 groups. And then I ask them, if you are able to clean up the classroom, the first ones to finish cleaning up the classroom, their table, their place, they are going to be getting, Coach Jay, sorry about that. Don't know who called me.
It's okay.
How is it possible that someone calls you and they just get into your call?
Uh-huh.
Some people don't have a chill pill. Okay, so yeah, I was still telling you. So when you make them compete against themselves, they get the task done because they know there is a prize for it. So same thing with us in life. I used to have Candy Crush and I had to get it off my phone. I used not to get things done all the time. I want to, can I pass this level? You know, and I think it's a human thing. We always want to win. We always want to get a prize. You know.
Mm-hmm.
So the other thing I'm going to be sharing is from Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. Today I have gone to the Bible. This topic made me go to the Bible, my friends.
Okay.
So in the Bible, it also says, be careful how you think.
Mm-hmm.
Your life is shaped by your thoughts. So whatever Henry Ford was sharing was connecting with whatever is in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. If you get time, read it. These are not my words. These are words from the writers of the Bible, and those are holy people. So it is self-explanatory. Bruce Lee, if you guys love movies, Bruce Lee says, as you think, so shall you become.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as you think, so shall you become. So the moment you start thinking you can't, you definitely will not. You
Mm-hmm.
know, when you have a mindset of I can, and that's what Bruce Lee says, if you think you can, you will.
You will.
The Bible says, be careful how you think. So if you think you can, you are going to be able to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, before closing, I'm going to say, be the person who thinks you can. It's as simple as that. Don't be that kind of a person who uses the can't word, because that word will become part of you. I can't do this. I can't go to the shop right now. I'll go tomorrow. That means you're postponing things. I
Mm-hmm.
can't finish the project. Who told you you can't? Please, who told you? I can't. I can't. I can't. I can't. Replace it with I can. I can make it. For me, it even excites me. It makes me smile when I say it. I can. Uh, I can make it to Abu Dhabi to see Coach J.
Fine.
And I bet some odds are going to make it there. But every time I say, oh, Coach J, I can't, you know, I'm busy, I can't. Busy is going to bring itself. Okay? So believe you can. Be the person who says you can, even when people are like, you know what, it's not possible for us to finish this plan. It's not possible for us to finish this PowerPoint presentation. That's why I love deadlines. Deadlines make you a can person. Because of the deadline, you find yourself having to accomplish it. That can't mind just runs away. When you have a deadline to something, you say, I'm going to publish my book by end of November. It's like, especially when you have accountable people who are always calling you. reminding you, by the way, you said your book is going to be out by November. How far? Eh? So for me, I believe even sometimes when you want to accomplish things, try to have people you're accountable to. These people don't have to be so annoying, but they just have to be pushy. They have to push you to be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Because sometimes we forget we are human. You can have a list of 20 things. But if you have someone who pushes you for two, another one who pushes you for three, another one pushes you for one, they push you, somehow it makes you hit your target to whatever you want to accomplish. So be the person who thinks you can, and you definitely will make it to whatever or what you want to be. Coach J, back to you. I think you do the closure today.
So for me, I will say those are very brilliant points. I've written down the Bible verse. So for me, I will say on top of having accountable people, at the same time, don't be too hard on yourself. Have a list of things and then do a priority tracker for each of them. Because the person who does everything all together, they end up saying these things are difficult. But the person who starts with the, okay, they say today, at this hour, I'm supposed to start with this task. So you do the task, you finish the task, you move to the next task. But when you try and do them all together, what happens is that you start becoming overwhelmed and tired. And then in the process, you start ruling out some things, you get things out of the table. It's okay to achieve everything, but what's better is do quality work, do one thing at a time, take it slow, and then track your progress. That's the one thing I've learned in my adulthood. Tracking my progress has made a difference in my life because I am able to see where I'm coming from and where I'm going. In the middle, I'm able to see what I have been doing. And if I'm still getting the same results, what do? I need to look for another route. I need to look for another path, how I'm going to do this thing that I'm doing. Because if I've been getting, let's say, if it's in terms of money, I've been getting $100, that's a consistent number. So if I want the number to change, I need to see what have I been doing, what can I do to improve this structure that I'm using right now. So I think that's it from us today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Coach Jay, for joining me. Those who are watching us live now on Facebook, you can leave your questions and comments there. We will always get back to you. If you're going to be watching it later on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channels, you can always shoot the questions. We always go back and check. And yeah, that's it from us. Remember that change starts with the mindset. So everything is all here, it's all programmed here. And the moment we decide that, okay, that's true, things start just changing in your life. And that's a testimony I'll keep giving, I'll keep talking about it, I'll keep saying it. And inshallah, one day the whole world is going to hear about my story because change
Amen.
has made a difference in my life. The mindset has done magic in my life. So I don't know if you have anything to say, Coach Jay, or we call it to an end.
Mindset is your power.
Yes.
Dare to
All
glow.
right. Thank you. All
Stay
right.
safe and stay blessed. Those are my last words.
Yes. Bye bye.